at last, son. I just wanted to let all of you know. Wait. You want to do the best we can to get you what you need, how you need.
Information.
I just got word.
Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies and gents, what you see going on in the background is a call that I just had. And I just got to tell y'all how amazing this call was, and I'm converting it to MP3 format so that I can add it to this video. This call is, about 25 minutes long, but it will behoove you to pay attention to it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that in a minute, but there is a song that I need to play by the Marvelettes. Y'all need to hear this song. Okay? This is the Marvelettes. They letting y'all know something. They gonna tell it to the world in a minute. What'd you say, Marvelettes? Wait, hold on. Oh, that's my song. Now, why am I playing Don't Mess with Bill? Well, I did a video, and in my video I said, hey y'all, I need y'all help. I said, there's this gentleman out there, he works for the United States Department of Agriculture, and yes, those of you who sent me emails telling me that you've called him and telling me what your conversation was about, thank you. Those of you who called and told him, hey, you promised to give that man a call back and you're not being honorable by keeping your word, thank you. Because he called me back this evening. I mean, it's 7 o'clock our time, and I know he's like Louisiana time, so it was like 6 something his time. Really late for a business call, but he called me and he asked me, what could he do for me? And so I reminded him of what he was supposed to do in the first place. I've been calling his offices since March of this year, and here we are, December, and he's asking me what could he do for me. Well, nothing has changed. Now, when you, Jennifer, go, keep going. Sorry, I'm gesturing and she's thinking I'm playing, and no, she doesn't think I'm mad at her. She knows that I'm speaking into the microphone, so she knows I'm not speaking to her because she's used to this. You see, I've done way too many videos since she's been here, so she knows what I'm doing. She's like a child, I tell you. She's just like a little child. She only comes and bothers Daddy when she knows Daddy's busy. Now, those of you who have children, y'all know what I'm talking about, so don't act like you don't. So let's get back with not messing with Bill. You heard me? I'm talking to you, Jennifer. Don't come messing with me because I'm going to hurt you. Go on now. All right. She's doing it moving. Well, getting back to Mr. Elkins. That video is going to be out, and so everybody's going to keep calling him. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying you don't have to call him anymore because he got the message. Not only did we talk for 20-some minutes, but he specifically tried to avoid answering my questions. And, by the way, the young man told one of our viewers when he called that he wasn't the compliance officer. I have it on recorded record, him saying that he was the compliance officer for the United States Department of Agriculture. That's how I know he's an attorney, because he told me. Now, do you think he lied to me? No, he wouldn't. No, not me. No. They would never lie to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I go into telling you what me and Mr. Elkins talked about, I need to clarify some things. I have some people out there thinking that I am not advocating their interests. I am not about to do anything that's going to help them. So let me let you know what I'm capable of, because some of you ain't got it yet. That's right, I used improper English to get my point across to some improper people. Not only will we be bringing forth the lawsuit against the entities as we promised, but we'll be bringing it at such an angle that it won't be unheard of. They've had people bring it this way before, but they've never had people bring it to them like this before. You see, what did we do? We sent out a bunch of letters to a bunch of banks and a bunch of servicers. We knew what the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act said. We've been doing it for too long. We already knew what they were required to do. So we asked them for things we were required to have upon demand, and the law supports. See, we don't have rights. We have entitlements, and the law supports those entitlements. We're going to continue that in just a moment, so I can explain this so that you understand the difference between entitlements and rights. Your straw man, your legal fiction, your legal person has rights. That's what the Constitution lists for the corporation. The Supreme Court already told you. They told you exactly what the original intent of the First Amendment and the rest of the Constitution was. Because they said corporations are persons too. Did you not hear them say that? The last 2 years that's why the what did that stupid group called? Where they were donating to Bush's campaign and they were wanting to donate an unlimited amount. And so they took it to court because people said that corporations could not donate. Congress was trying to say that. Why? Because they were trying to keep themselves in office. Well, the other congressmen were saying, nope, y'all got to go. And we got special interests. Oh, that the Swift voters did the lawsuit. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that corporations can donate because they are people. Now, notice this. Corporations can donate an unlimited amount of monies, but you can't. Without having to report this and report that. Corporations don't have to report. So, your corporation, your legal fiction, your legal name, your legal person, that is supported by the United States Constitution. You have rights under the Constitution for your corporation. However, now pay attention to this because most people don't get it. I even have to explain it to judges because some of them don't get it. The Constitution gives you what's known as support for your entitlements. The First Amendment is a secured right. See, it supports your entitlements. The Fifth Amendment, secured. Sixth, secured. Seventh, secured. Ninth, secured. 10th, secured. 11th, secured. These are all secured amendments, meaning there is no room for them to wiggle out because it says what it says. It's an entitlement. Your corporation has a right to it. It is a secured right because it supports your entitlements. Just that simple. The Constitution supports your entitlements. It kind of shores it up so that you don't just have to say, I got the entitlement. Okay? Sorry, mouth a little parched. I've been up all day, been going all day. Those of you who watched the video that I did earlier today saw that I was up before. Almost pulled my computer off the stand. Hold on one second. I am still here. I'm just having to reach around the corner. And I cannot reach around the corner with the mic still attached because the mic and the corner are too far apart. And there's a cord. It's an umbilical cord. No, it's a tethering cord. Okay, let's continue. What I want all of you to understand is I need for you to get this, that you have entitlements, that you should not be running from your straw man, that you need to stop thinking that the government's trying to get over on you, that they're hiding something from you, that they're keeping something from you. Of course they're not being completely honest. I just spoke with a government worker. You're going to hear the information. We're going to talk about it in a second. Exactly how the conversation went and what I asked and what I didn't ask for. Do you guys remember when I talked to Mr. Walden with the Department of Agriculture and he told us so much information? Well, that's what led to us getting in contact with Gene. Okay? Because I analyze everything. So when you listen to that conversation, notice how I'm analyzing exactly what's going on. And he's trying to get me to state certain things. And so I am being very specific in my answers. Why? Because I told him I'm asking for something specifically. I'm not asking a general question. Uh-oh. That's my phone. Give me 1 second, y'all. I gotta put y'all on pause. I don't know that ringtone. I didn't set that ringtone. Hey, I'm sorry it took just a little bit of a moment, but it was a moment, wasn't it? Almost forgot what I was talking about, so I apologize for that as well. Let's get back to this lawsuit and the angles that we're going at. The idea here is not to bring up any old drawn-out arguments.
Well, they securitized the loan and they didn't have a right to. And they forgot to pay taxes on the remix. And they didn't have a right to do a remix.
Sorry, we won't be arguing any of that. Because that argument requires that everybody knows what a remix is and whether or not the banks are allowed to securitize a loan, which we know that they are allowed. We don't want to bring up those arguments. Why? Why not just bring up the arguments that are solid, founded, and the banks have no wiggle room?
Well, securitization and remix, that is a blah, blah, blah.
Okay, then keep bringing it up. Keep having cases dismissed and thrown out of court. You see, we know what angles we're going at. As a matter of fact, I like the commission that I put together because I told them what I was thinking about on several different levels. Not only have I been receiving emails, but telephone conversations, they seem to be on the same page. And I'm letting them know, hey guys, you do the research. I trust you. Everything is all right. But they're trying to make sure that it's the right angle. And no, you don't have to make sure that. It just needs to be this. That's all we're looking for is that. And if we add this and that, so be it. More icing on the cake. And they get it. And they understand the lawsuit. As a matter of fact, the angle we're going at now, the fact that we're not adding everybody's name to the lawsuit so that we have more paperwork. No. We're adding situations that we have been directly involved in regarding our 17 mortgages. And by those, and those of you, thank you. The response has been a little bit better than I expected with the mortgages. It's not overwhelming, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you all. But many of you are asking, how can you be a part of it? I even had one person email me and say, can they let their friends know? I'm really trying only to let the people who understand these videos that I do, I'm trying to let you know. Why? Because you know what I'm capable of. You know what angles I'm capable of going at. You know the understanding. You know the logic that I use. So that's why I'm not really, this is not a salesman ploy. I'm not trying to sell this. Okay? Even if we only had 50, which is, we're getting close to that now. Even if we only had 50 people being part of the lawsuit, don't you understand how perfect that is? Okay? Please understand how perfect that is. Because that's all we're looking for. We're not looking for a large group. We're looking for individuals who understand what we're doing, who are in it for the long haul. Because we will have to appeal something or one part of the case or another. Why? Because the courts are supported by the banks. But we'll be bringing a suit in such a unique way and utilizing, I can't tell everything. I'm sorry, I wish I could. If I tell you every single angle, then other people will try to go and do exactly what we're doing, but they'll beat us to the punch and they will mess things up. Because we're bringing some unique aspects of things that, well, let's just say hasn't been tried in the way in which we're about to introduce it to the courts. and the solid foundation of the information, I just came up with an angle tonight in a conversation with a couple of the commission members, and I told them I'm just too tired to expound on it, but I just had another conversation with another commission member and just expounded on it, and I love it. I honestly love it, and they get it. They understand the angle. They get it, and I cannot tell you how happy I am. Well, wait, 5 months from now you're going to say that you weren't happy, and I guarantee you that will not be the case. I can guarantee you that won't be the case, not with this group of people. You know, we're going to make sure that all of our researchers receive compensation for their research, and so we're working out the payment scheme so that we can get it done. Now, I'm not going to put any pressure on all of you, but I asked a couple of days ago, about a week and a half ago, for information about the lawsuit filed by the Attorney Generals. Now, it's okay because I gave that same information to a commissioner of the redress organization today. He found it in less than 10 minutes. But not one single email came to me regarding that lawsuit. And that's okay. It's because you're not required. There's no law. But ladies and gentlemen, please understand, I do appreciate you all calling Gene Elkins and getting his attention. Whew, man, his phone must have been off the hook. So thank you very much. We'll play that in a second. But understand that I cannot do this without you, and I don't want to do it without you. As long as you're helping me, you will gain more knowledge about this whole process. See, I was just explaining to something that, you know, the banks can't lend their own credit. Now let's see if you can understand this angle. You sign a mortgage note. That becomes legal tender. Promissory note's a legal tender. Promissory note's a legal tender. Promissory note's a legal tender. Promissory notes are legal tender. Go back and look at H.R. 192, how they explain what promissory notes are and what's construed as currency in the United States. Legal tender is currency in the United States. However, legal tender is only good for the payment of debts, both private and public. We're going to leave that subject alone for another day. We're going to talk about that another day. Legal tender. People say, well, the new Our-style money order is a promissory note. Bingo! Promissory note's a legal tender. If the government can write a promissory note, then you can write a promissory note. If a government can write a promissory note backed by their full faith and credit, then you can write a promissory note backed by your full faith and credit. 93.224 public law says that the United States government borrows from the public, which means you have value. You have value. Oh, when they call your instruments worthless, they can't. Because if the United States borrows from the public law, 93.224, then that means that you have value. And so your instruments cannot be worthless because they're backed and supported by you, your full faith and credit. You get me? Good. So you all are going to have to start understanding that point. So what do I suggest? I suggest you pause this video, go back to where I first started talking about promissory notes, full faith and credit, and so on and so forth. Re-listen. Listen to it over and over again until you get it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's why my stuff works. Because at least I understand the mechanics of why it's supposed to work. Because there's this wonderful thing. I mean, it's when they came up with it, they had no idea how much I was going to manipulate it. Equal protection of law. Law. Equal protection of law. If they can do it, I can do it. Rootin' tootin'. Okay. Equal protection of law. Ladies and gentlemen, it's called the Equal Protection of Law Clause. And the due process of law just because some people did an OID and the government said we're going to send the IRS and the U.S. Attorney General after these people, we're going to lock them up, and we're going to put them through the whole process. Nobody has ever proven that you can't do the OID process. If the government has been borrowing from you, then you're doing a process such as the OID is only you wanting compensation. And if you are found guilty, tell them to take it out of the funds that they borrowed from you and then give you the difference. Public Law 93.224. Okay. Let's go on, shall we? Yes, you shall. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that all of you can hold on to what I'm saying, because I'm very, very tired. So I got to make sure that I do the Gene Elkins part, and then after his part, because I'm going to let it play, I'm not going to, well, I will stay and listen to the whole thing, and that way I can pause it and let you hear what's what. What's what? That's what. What's. Okay. You're going to hear him talk about, he's going to harp on the word default. And he's going to say it's not default insurance. It's a loan guarantee program. So it's not default insurance. And I understand that. But the fact is that every home is insured. And then we get on the fact that you said that all homes were insured through the United States Department of Agriculture. Well, I've corrected that. And I explained to him how they're insured. And he still tries to correct me, but he doesn't really try very hard after I explain to him who backs what loan. But he doesn't understand. I'm talking about only the loans that are guaranteed by the United States Department of Agriculture. And I'm asking him a specific question, and those of you who understand the angle, if he provides me this information, I can prove that the banks have violated the law, have committed insurance fraud, and I become a whistleblower with the United States Department of Agriculture. And when they get money, I get money. I'm getting paid, mama. Anyway, I'm kidding. To show you how much I value certain things, there's a young man here in Puerto Rico. I told him that I would tell everybody about him. He's like, "You're going to talk about me on the internet?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He speaks English and Spanish. Or Spanglish, that's right. He's all right. He has a touch of Tourette syndrome, and he has lupus. Now, he doesn't have lupus to a severe degree, but this young man, from the day I met him, has been offering to help me left and right. Whenever I'm in trouble, let's say, like the other day I had a flat tire. About 3 weeks ago, I had a flat tire. It had just started to rain. He not only came there, took off the tire with me in the rain, went and got the tire exchanged, brought it back, put it back on the car, and followed me to my house. Now, he only lives a block away, but that's what he did. Left his family and everything just to come and assist me. Now, what did I do? I told him when I leave Puerto Rico, that he gets the cars, that I will leave them to him. He can have them. He says, no, you need to do this. You need to sell them. You need to try to... And I'm like, why? Why would I sell them? I don't want to sell them. I like this song too, by the way. I told him that that's what I want to do. I said, because eventually I am leaving Puerto Rico. I don't know when, but eventually I will. He says, well, why did you fix the car if you're going to be leaving? I said, I don't want to ride around in something that's not fixed. So I took my Social Security monies for the last 2 months because it was enough. And I replaced the seats in the car. Now, here's the thing. The interior is brown tan. Okay, so it's tan. And I went to a wrecking yard, and they gave me the back seats and the front seats. But they were gray. And I'm like, man, that's going to look really tacky. Gray, tan, and white. Ladies and gentlemen, not only after I had the seats installed by a mechanic am I impressed very impressed by the way this car looks now. But I started noticing that the door handles and the window locks and the little compartments for your glasses and things like that that's in the car are all gray. So now the dash is gray, the seats are gray, because I got a new dash. The dash gray, seats gray, and it matches the doors and the speaker covers. And it's like, that's the way the car should have been designed in the first place. That's what we did. And I'm very impressed with the way this car appears now. Very impressed. Okay. But the young man that has been so helpful, and he reminds me of me in so many different ways. Not on the level of speaking to you and law and all of that, but I would not get along with anybody else here in Puerto Rico but this young man because of his personality. We argue. He gets on my nerves, and I tell him that all the time. But the unique thing is, I told him that if it were not for him, I would have left Puerto Rico a long time ago. Why? Because he has made it worthwhile being here. And his family has adopted me. He's got a 8-year-old son, 13-year-old son, and a wife. And basically this, what was it, Sunday? I think it was Sunday. They went to the hospital, took the little boy to the hospital because he has, from time to time, he has some issues with breathing, gets infections. He's not sickly all the time, but he has his issues, and he has his moments. And so I told him I'll go. And so they drove to Montero, and we drove to the hospital, and I stayed there with them for over 5 hours. You know, coming back and forth, I brought them lunch, make sure that they had something to eat, that they weren't just sitting at the hospital being bored. And I actually had a very good time. That's how I spent my Sunday. And I'm mentioning this all to you because many people wonder. You can't become my friend by asking. You can't become my friend by doing something for me because I'm going to ignore you. The people who become my friends are the ones to whom I allow to become my friend, based on their personality, not based on their wants, wishes, and dreams. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm very picky about who I allow to be my friend. I don't trust everybody, and trust is a very important point. This young man, he has a key to the house, he has a key to both cars, he has the alarm mechanism, and he has access to the credit card. If anything were to happen, he would make sure that the bills are paid, dog is fed, cat's fed, everything is taken care of. If he needs to use one of the car right now for any reason, all he has to do is hop inside and go. Because if I know if one car is gone, the other one is here, I know he needed it for a reason. Just that simple. I don't do that with everybody. Because everybody doesn't deserve that type of trust. But he's proven to me that I can trust him. Now, he's not perfect, but he's unique. And they call him the greatest. They literally call him the greatest. It's just a nickname, and that's what everybody calls him. And the fact that this young man is 30, I think he's about 34, and everybody from the children to the adults call him, in Spanish, the greatest. And I didn't get it at first, but now I understand it. I understand it now. So I told him I was going to mention or talk about him on a video. I just talked about him on a video. Let me go ahead and finish talking about the Gene Elkins situation. When he called me tonight, you'll listen to the conversation. I'm a little hesitant because I don't believe it's him. I think someone's playing a prank because I haven't received a call from this particular area code, and so I don't recognize the call, so I'm not sure. But when he says his name, I don't recognize the voice, so I'm a little hesitant because I don't believe it's him. But then we start talking, and you'll see that I start to get relaxed because I now know who I'm talking to. And the unique thing is, I know that he has someone there listening to the conversation, which is why it took place at the hour that it did. Okay, now notice he says he's going to get someone from his Freedom of Information's team to take a look at it. And, wait a minute, you had this on your desk for how long? And now you're sending it over there in violation of the Freedom of Information Act? That you never communicated or corresponded with me at all? So let's make this a matter of public record. Now, I'm not trying to show up, Mr. Elkins, but I'm trying to let you know of what I go through and how long I've been fighting this. You see, I don't give up. I don't cower. I don't quit. If you don't believe me, take a listen to the entire conversation. Notice how he tries to change the subject, change the point of interest, and notice how I don't. So we're gonna turn our boys down in the background. Let's see who be this. This right here is Rufus Thomas. Rufus, what's the name of this song? Do the Funky Chicken. Y'all remember that song? I ain't heard that song since the 70s. Y'all remember Do the Funky Chicken? All right. Now, we're going to play Mr. Elkins. Oh, that's the new Hour Style coupons that we're not putting out there. We gave it out at the seminar, but we're not giving it out to the rest of y'all. Sorry! Okay. We're looking for this number right here. We're going to let y'all get a listen. The volume might be up.
Fred Jones, please.
Who's calling?
King Elkins, USDA Rural Housing in St. Louis.
Mr. Elkins?
Yes.
Yes, this is Brett. Notice that long pause. How much more can I say what I just said?
Hello?
I said this is he. I'm sorry?
I was calling for a Mr. Jones.
I said this is he.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not hear you. But I'll try one more
You
time
hear
to
how he has me on speakerphone?
determine what it is that you want me to provide you.
Mr. Elkins. No, he says he's going to try it one more time. I'm sorry. He said he was. Now, I could have stopped it right. What do you mean you're going to try one more time? When was the first time you tried? You know, I could have done something like that, but that's not the subject of the conversation. And so we don't need to nitpick on every single little thing that somebody says wrong or does wrong. Like some of you. I talked about Mr. Stinkmiser, and somebody said, no, it's Stinkmiser. Here, this is the proper spelling. People, it ain't that important. That's not even a subject. Stick to the main topic. And it's my fault because I've literally been trained as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. We have something in the back of the New World Translation, the Bible that is published by Jehovah's Witnesses. The Bible was not written by Jehovah's Witnesses, unlike the popular communications out there. No, Jehovah's Witnesses wrote their own Bible. Bunch of idiots, because you didn't do your research and understand. However, in the back of it, it's something referred to as topics for conversation. Why? Because in conversation, many people usually get off point. And so there is a need and an understanding of this and a reason to get back on point. So watch us get back on point. Listen to the conversation with Mr. Elkins. And we're not going to harp on the little small things. We're going to stick with the main topic. He says that he was trying one more time regarding my issue. But he had just told someone else that there was not going to be an investigation, that there wasn't an investigation going on, and he couldn't tell him anything else. But he could not tell that to me, in writing or otherwise. Notice. When we spoke the last time, you put me in touch with a young lady, your assistant, because you were going to be away from the office for a while. I called that young lady. I gave her the information. I left the information on a voicemail. She said she was going to call me back, get back in touch with me. This is now 3 months. No, that was in August. I have not heard back from her.
Well, what is it that you want USDA to provide for you?
No, wait, hold on. All he could say was, Did y'all hear that? All he could say was, No, you know what? I am really sorry that happened, Mr. Jones. I'm going to give her a call, and I'm going to remind her that she was supposed to contact you, but now you and I are talking, and so that I will handle it from here, but I will let her know how unprofessional that was, and I will take the proper steps to see to it that doesn't happen in the future with anyone else. That's, as a supervisor, that's what you're supposed to say. But he didn't. He just said, and watch how he changes the subject. Don't believe me? Let's go back just a little tad bit. We're at 122. There we go, 113.
Want USDA to provide for you?
The United States Department of Agriculture was given... Hold up, we got to go back. Right, there we go.
Well, what is it that you want USDA to provide for you?
The United States Department of Agriculture was given a Freedom of Information Act request because they have a loan guarantee program, and I am of the knowledge as of late that several properties have been foreclosed on which fell under that loan guarantee program. Whether or not I have an exact loan number for the USDA is not the issue. It's whether or not any homes have been foreclosed on that was insured by the USDA by any of the banks in the United States, which would have been against the law since the homes were insured and the loan was guaranteed by the USDA. That's my issue. That's the information I'm looking for. I am building a case against the banks, and that's the information I need in order to complete my discovery process. Do you hear him again? Interesting. Did you hear the question I asked? That I need the information regarding the banks who have loans that are guaranteed by the United States Department of Agriculture, who foreclosed on these homes and then made an application for the mortgage default insurance. And all he can say is, Let's continue.
Well, you seem to have a mistaken belief that USDA guarantees all loans in the United States.
No. The loans are guaranteed either through the USDA, through the Federal Housing Administration, and or the Treasury. HUD loans are backed up through FHA, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's loans are backed up to the U.S. Treasury, and rural development loans are backed up to the USDA. Say to that, idiot. Sorry. He said that I seem to be under the mistaken belief. Mistaken. No, I don't have a belief. I have knowledge. I have knowledge and facts. So I let him know who covers most of the home. Now, notice how he's going to nitpick. Watch this.
Well, some of them are, but not necessarily all of them. We make direct loans, we have guaranteed loans.
Yes. Now, watch this. We have direct loans and we have guaranteed loans. Was anybody talking about direct loans? Well, didn't I say the loans guaranteed by the Rural Development Department? Well, notice how I respond. And this is without a script. He's calling me in the evening. I'm tired. And I promise you I am tired. I've been up for 14 hours now. I was tired. Hold on. I'm talking about the guaranteed loans. That's the only thing that I'm referring to at this time is the guaranteed loans. Just got him right back on subject, trying to change the subject on me. No, we going to stick on point. We ain't going to get off point. Why? Because I didn't call and leave messages and leave emails to get on their conversation, to stick to their subject. I called to stay on my point, to stay on my subject. That's what I called for. So let's see where the conversation goes now.
And you're asking me to provide you with a list of all loans that we have
No.
guaranteed foreclosed on?
Yes, exactly. All guaranteed loans that have been foreclosed on within the last 5 years. We'll just do 5 years. Don't need to do 10, 20, or 50, but 5 years should be good enough. And I can assure you that at least 5,000 homes that have been guaranteed by the USDA have been foreclosed on or threatened foreclosure within the past 5 years. I can guarantee that.
Now, how can I guarantee that? I just made a presumption. I put him in a position that now he has to rebut that presumption with evidence. And you know what he can't do? He can't. He cannot rebut that presumption. When I tell him that I can guarantee, I can. Because he's going to explain later in the conversation what the policy and procedure is. And it's not their policy, it's just their procedure, which violates law. And we're going to talk about that later. But let's listen to the rest.
Because the banks, and I have proof, I just need to support that proof. The banks have foreclosed and then filed for the insurance after the foreclosure has taken place.
Okay.
Now, you hear what I say? The banks have foreclosed on people's property, either sold it to someone else or sold it back to themselves. Now, what's wrong with that? They gave out a loan. Aren't they allowed to do that? Well, certainly. But however, when they go and they get the funds from the United States Department of Agriculture based on the insurance, they receive the par value of the note, the original value of the loan. Wait a minute. The banks cannot file. Pay attention, people. This is the point. This is what gets them in mortgage fraud. They cannot file for mortgage default insurance claiming the total loss of the home when they have sold that home or bought it back to themselves and made a profit off of it by reselling it. They cannot. That is against the law. That's called insurance fraud. Go ahead and report your car being in an accident and then tell them that it was totaled. And then what do? Take and sell the car? And then when they come to inspect the car, oh, I already sold it. Go ahead and see what happens to you if that were to happen, if you were to file such a claim. The banks are not permitted to file the claim either. And I give him the law. I explain the law to him. Their law under Codified Federal Regulations Title VII. It's their law, not mine. The Mortgage Guarantee Loan Program by the United States Department of Agriculture is there to protect the lender. When the lender makes application for that insurance through the loan guarantee program, they get the par value of that note because he's going to mention that that is their declared loss, that they have to declare that loss value. Then they lied. Because guess what? The par value does not include all of the legal tender or checks or payments received by the homeowner. Whether you paid 1 month, 3 months, 18 months, 100 months, it doesn't matter. Because they say that they had a total loss of the original note, which is a lie. And that's fraudulent. Do you see where I'm going? That's why I tell you people, when I put together a lawsuit, I don't just bring some stupid suit talking about some stupid points. I bring up stuff that they cannot argue, because that's the only way you can win. When I file small claims, I put things in my small claims case that they cannot argue with. Pay attention.
Generally, what the process and procedure is.
They can't. They can't.
One
After the
second.
close, and I just need to support that proof. The banks have foreclosed and then filed for the insurance after the foreclosure has taken place.
Well, that's generally what the process and procedure is.
They can't. If the banks foreclose, if the banks foreclose on that loan and then apply for the default insurance, that is fraud because the loan is guaranteed. That means that they have to take the avenue of least recourse, which is the insurance. Once they say that the home is in default, they have to apply for that insurance before the foreclosure because your policy and the law, CFR 1901.508, says that when they apply for that, when they send the information in, they're to surrender the note and the deed back to the original homeowner after all encumbrances have been paid off. And they haven't been following that law. So that's why I need that information to prove that these financial institutions are continuing to violate the law and are taking property, which is a constitutionally secured right, without due process of law.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, 1901.508, that particular law does not say that the banks take the insurance, but it says that they take the original promissory note, which has paid to the order of the United States of America without recourse, and they take that to the Treasury, and the Treasury pays the par value. You see, I'm adding both in the same conversation because they're doing both, and that's what I'm looking for. But when he gives me the foreclosure information, which he will never give me, that's why this call is recorded. He will never give me that information. Why? Because it will show that the banks are committing a criminal act against the United States government, which is treason. They're defrauding the United States government, and they're defrauding the American public and the American people. Now remember, the American public and the American people are two different things. They're not the same thing, so you got to keep that in mind. Well, I want you to listen to what he has to say now.
Well, I don't think that there's anything that I can give you in terms of a list of loans in
That's
which
public information.
Now, notice he's going to bring up the Freedom of Information Act. Notice how I never asked him for what he's claiming he cannot give me.
foreclosed on, you would have to go to the banks for those.
No. This is a USDA issue. This is public information. You guys are a public institution. They're to secure the interests of the public. So I'm asking for public information. That's why it's a Freedom of Information Act request. And I am asking the right department because the banks don't guarantee the loans. The United States Department of Agriculture's Loan Guarantee Department guarantees those loans.
Booyah! Do you see how I took that you got to call the banks junk and said, no, I'm sorry. The number you have reached is not in service at this time, and there is no new number. Please hang the mother phone up and don't try again. That's basically what I'm telling you.
And rural development loans are backed up to the USDA.
Well, some of them are, but not necessarily all of them. We make direct loans, we have guaranteed loans.
Yes, I'm talking about the guaranteed loans. That's the only thing that I'm referring to at this time is the guaranteed loans.
And you're asking me to provide you with a list of all loans that we have
No.
lenders have foreclosed on?
Yes, exactly. All guaranteed loans that have been foreclosed on within the last 5 years. We'll just do 5 years. Don't need to do 10, 20, or 50, but 5 years should be good enough. And I can assure you that at least 5,000 homes that have been guaranteed by the USDA have been foreclosed on or threatened foreclosure within the past 5 years. I can guarantee that because the banks, and I have proof, I just need to support that proof. The banks have foreclosed and then filed for the insurance after the foreclosure has taken place.
Well, that's generally what the process and procedure is.
They can't. If the banks foreclose, if the banks foreclose on that loan and then apply for the default insurance, that is fraud because the loan is guaranteed. That means that they have to take the avenue of least recourse, which is the insurance. Once they say that the home is in default, they have to apply for that insurance before the foreclosure because your policy and the law, CFR 1901.508, says that when they apply for that, when they send the information in, they're to surrender the note and the deed back to the original homeowner after all encumbrances have been paid off. And they haven't been following that law. So that's why I need that information to prove that these financial institutions are continuing to violate the law and are taking property, which is a constitutionally secured right, without due process of law.
Well, I don't think that there's anything that I can give you in terms of a list of loans in
That's
which
public information.
Banks are foreclosed on. You would have to go to the banks for those.
No. This is a USDA issue. This is public information. You guys are a public institution. They're to secure the interests of the public. So I'm asking for public information. That's why it's a Freedom of Information Act request. And I am asking the right department because the banks don't guarantee the loans. The United States Department of Agriculture's Loan Guarantee Department guarantees those loans. I'm asking the right department.
That's true. But that is not anything that I can provide you with a list of all the Privacy Act that protect those borrowers from that information.
I'm not asking for borrowers' information. Oh, of course not. The Privacy Act does that. The Privacy Act of 1974, of course. The Freedom of Information Act came out during the same year, 1974. So what I'm asking for is the public information. The number of loans that were foreclosed on by the banks. I don't need addresses. I don't need individuals' names. The number of loans that were foreclosed on by the banks, and then in turn, the very same loans that were requested for the loan guarantee to be paid out. That's the information I'm looking for. That's not private information because you have to do an accounting every year.
I have no such list of those loans that you are asking for.
Everything is computerized. Of course there's a list. And we haven't even checked yet.
Oh, yes, we have. We've been, I have no database of those loans that you're asking for.
That's interesting because I pulled up several forms that must be filled out in order for them to apply for that insurance to be paid out. And those forms are put in a database. So of course there's a list somewhere. And because of the Bill Clinton signing that nice little order demanding that certain things be put on the internet and made available to the public, there is a database. I just need access to it, access to the information I'm requesting. Now, if you don't have it, just please provide me something in writing saying that you don't have it, and I will be more than satisfied.
Okay, I will go ahead and refer this to the FOIA office in Washington and see what they would like to provide on it.
Well, you have the address here for Puerto Rico. If you do not still have it, I will give it to you again.
And what you're asking for is a list of loans that are USDA guaranteed loans that have been foreclosed on.
No, just the number of loans that were guaranteed loans that have been foreclosed on in the last 5 years by through the USDA that they guaranteed, and the correlation of those same loans to the amount of insurance that have been paid out as a result of the banks filing for insurance as a result of the default on those loans after they foreclosed on each of those loans. Because once they foreclosed on the home, they can no longer come back and say, we want to collect the insurance. Because they...
That's the first thing that, that's how they would actually apply for the...
It's a practice.
The guarantee is after they have foreclosed, then they file their loss claim.
They cannot file a loss claim after they foreclose. The loss claim is the moment that the home is in default. Because the moment they declare the home to be in default, it's a default loan. A default guarantee. It's not a foreclosure guarantee. The default and the loan insurance guarantee pays them. That's how they cover their losses, by applying for the default insurance when the default occurs. For instance, if I get into an accident tomorrow, I must immediately report that. And I know your policies say once the default happens, they have a certain time limit for reporting that default, for filing the claim.
I do not, am not aware of any default insurance that we would have, or that anyone has.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I used the word default. Loan guarantee. You guys guarantee the loan if the borrower should not be able to pay, according to CFR 1980.508. You guarantee that the loan will be paid if the borrower is unable to pay. Within 508, it stipulates that if the borrower is unable to pay, they apply for the insurance. Once they receive those funds and it is paid out and all encumbrances are covered, then the rest goes to the borrower and they get the deed as well as the original note back. That's in your servicing and collections.
Not aware of that.
I know. I'm saying it verbatim because I've read it.
We would pay a loss claim to the guaranteed lender. And, they have to go through and do their foreclosure first before they have incurred the loss.
That is not what the law says. And that is not what the policy says.
That's the way that that's the way it's done.
I know. That's the fact that everybody's ignoring the law. I promise with all my heart, I'm not concerned about people ignoring the law. What I'm saying is the way that it's done violates the law. That's the information I'm collecting.
That I don't know. If you think that is what we're doing...
It's not thinking. That's why I'm asking specific questions for specific information so that I can support my proof with further documentation and evidence.
You're wanting us to provide you with a list of all the foreclosures on the guaranteed loan. Is that what...
For the last 5 years that have been foreclosed on by the banks, in which the default insurance was requested and paid out to the banks. Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Well, I'm not aware of any default insurance. We pay a loss claim, but this is after...
Yes.
A loss claim is not determined until after the banks have foreclosed, and if they have acquired the property, then they would have a disposition.
They can't take the property and then claim a loss. See, that is illegal because they've received the consideration back, which the courts have ruled that that's what they can take is the consideration. The consideration for the loan was the home. The fact that they sell it back to themselves or sell it to someone else, and they fail to report that, and then you pay them the par value, which is what your policies require and the law requires. When you pay them the par value, that's not their loss, because that means that they've already received part of that loss back, and they're not reporting that. That's the information I need, specifically. That's why I need it, because somebody is reporting fraudulent information and collecting insurance money, which is referred to as insurance fraud. So let's not use the word default. I apologize for using default insurance. That's the PMI. Okay, I'm not referring. Yours is a guaranteed loan program, and let's deal with the loss filings. Let's deal with that issue and leave it at that, because that's exactly what I'm asking.
Well, I will refer this to the FOIA office and see if that's anything that they can provide.
Okay, I appreciate that very much. I will put out a video letting everybody know that you've called me and that we have had our conversation and that they don't need to bother you anymore.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to make sure you have the correct address. I apologize.
Okay.
I need to make sure you have the correct address for Puerto Rico. Do you have a pen?
I don't have a Puerto Rican address.
No. Do you have a PIN so that I can give you my address here in Puerto Rico for your staff when they answer or respond to the FOIA request? They can respond to that address. The address is H as in Henry, C as in Charlie, hyphen, the number 3, box, B-O-X, 8948. The city is Lares, L-A-R-E-S, as in Sam, Puerto Rico, and the zip for the area is 00669.
HC-3, box 8948, Lares, L-A-R-A-S, Puerto Rico, 00669.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, and you have a very good evening.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the preacher. Everybody stand up and give praise to the system for enslaving so many for so long, and rise up and praise yourself for allowing the system to do the same thing to you. Yes, if you are going to blame someone, then you're going to have to blame someone. All right, come on now, everybody jump up with me. Come on, I want you all to recognize, if we allow it, we allow it. If we disavow it, we disavow it. And if we want to infuse it, we can refuse it. Do I hear an amen in the audience? Do I hear a B-man in the audience? Do I hear a Z-man in the audience? Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the preacher.